He just wanted to buy a pair of sneakers. Nothing more, nothing less. But the moment Booker walked into that store, every eye followed him. The manager's stare felt heavier than the security cameras on the wall. Each aisle he stepped into, the man followed. Closer, quieter, like a shadow waiting for proof of something that wasn't there. Booker didn't know it yet, but the footage from that day wouldn't just clear his name. It would destroy someone else's career forever. What those cameras recorded changed everything. Booker had always kept his head down. At 17, he was focused on finishing high school, saving money, and helping his mother make ends meet. He worked weekends at a local car wash and spent most of his free time sketching sneakers in an old notebook. His dream was to become a designer one day. To him, the small town of Brookville felt safe enough. Everyone knew each other, or so he thought. That Saturday afternoon, the sky was clear and the mall buzzed with weekend shoppers. Booker had saved for months, skipping lunches and extra outings, to finally buy a pair of shoes he'd wanted since he first saw them online. It was supposed to be a small reward for all his hard work. One simple, happy moment in a life full of responsibilities. He slipped on his backpack, checked his wallet twice, and headed toward the store. As he entered, the chime above the door rang softly. He smiled, nodding politely at a few customers browsing nearby. The smell of new sneakers filled the air. But within seconds, he felt something shift. A presence, subtle but heavy. The store manager, a middle-aged white man with a neatly trimmed beard and an oversized badge, watched him longer than he should have. Booker brushed it off at first. He was used to glances. But this wasn't a glance. It was surveillance. The manager began moving from aisle to aisle, mirroring every step Booker took. Still, Booker tried to ignore it. He focused on the shelves, running his fingers across the sneakers he'd worked so hard to afford. What he didn't know was that every quiet step he took was being recorded. Not just by the cameras, but by a man whose bias was about to destroy his own career. At first, Booker tried to ignore it. The squeak of shoes on the polished floor, the faint sound of someone pretending to fix displays. It was all too obvious now. Every time he turned into a new aisle, the store manager was there, not helping other customers, not restocking shelves, just watching him. Booker picked up a shoebox, his hands trembling slightly. He could feel the manager's eyes drilling into his back. When a white family entered the store, the manager suddenly smiled and greeted them warmly, walking right past Booker as if he wasn't even there. But the moment Booker moved toward the checkout counter, the man's attention snapped back, sharp, suspicious, ready to pounce. He reached the counter and placed the shoes gently on top. The cashier smiled awkwardly, scanning the box, but her eyes darted toward the manager, who stood nearby with folded arms. Booker could feel it, the unspoken accusation hanging in the air. The beep of the scanner felt louder than it should have. The manager stepped closer. "You sure you paid for those?" His tone half joking, half serious. Booker froze. His receipt hadn't even printed yet. Before he could respond, the man leaned over the counter, peering into the bag. The people in line behind Booker began whispering. He could feel their stares, cold, judging, assuming. His stomach sank. He pulled out his phone, trying to stay calm. "I'm just buying these, sir." The manager's face twisted. "Let's see that receipt first." The words hit like a slap, loud enough for everyone to hear. Booker's heart pounded. The cashier glanced nervously toward the security camera, as if unsure whether to intervene. Then, as if on cue, the manager called out to the back, "Security!" A guard appeared, tall and broad, blocking Booker's exit. The room suddenly felt smaller. The store's chatter died down to a tense silence. Booker looked around. Phones were coming out, customers recording, waiting for a show. He could feel the humiliation burning inside him, the injustice tightening his throat. He raised his hands slightly, his voice steady but shaking. "You can check the cameras. I didn't do anything." But in that moment, he knew it didn't matter. His word meant nothing against suspicion. Every second stretched longer than the last. The guard stepped closer, hand hovering near his radio. The manager smirked, as if certain he'd caught a thief. What none of them realized was that those same cameras he trusted to prove his innocence were already recording everything. Every glance, every word, every lie. And soon, the truth they captured would destroy a man's career. The security guard's hand closed around Booker's backpack, yanking it off his shoulder. The force made him stumble backward, the shoebox falling to the floor with a dull thud. The sound echoed through the store like a warning shot. Heads turned. Murmurs rippled. The manager stepped forward, his voice cutting through the silence. "Caught red-handed. I told you something was off." Booker's heart pounded. He looked around. Every face seemed to carry judgment. His throat tightened as he tried to speak, but his words tangled with fear. "I didn't take anything. Check the receipt." But the receipt was still crumpled near the register, unclaimed. The cashier hesitated, torn between doing her job and staying silent. The guard pulled open the backpack anyway, dumping out his wallet, notebooks, and a pack of gum. Nothing stolen. Nothing suspicious. But the damage was already done. Every camera phone pointed at him, every eye branding him a criminal. Booker's chest ached. He wanted to disappear, to escape the stares, the whispers, the silent confirmation of guilt he never earned. The guard stepped back, frowning at the empty bag. The manager's face twitched, a flash of uncertainty, quickly buried under arrogance. "Call the police anyway," he muttered. That was the moment something broke inside Booker. Not rage, not even fear, just exhaustion. A lifetime of small humiliations collapsing into this one unbearable moment. He stood there, motionless, as the flashing lights appeared outside the store windows. Customers backed away, whispering, filming. The police entered, demanding his ID. Booker lifted his hands slowly, the tears he refused to show stinging his eyes. "Check the cameras," he said again, voice trembling but firm. "Please, just check the cameras," no one answered. Not yet. But what those cameras held, that quiet, unblinking truth, was about to turn this humiliation into justice. 2 days later, the truth came out, and it spread faster than the lies ever did. The store's surveillance footage was released, showing everything. The moment Booker entered, the way the manager trailed behind him, the baseless accusations, the humiliation. Millions watched as the narrative flipped. The boy they called a thief was revealed to be the one who never stopped trying to prove his innocence. The video went viral overnight. News anchors replayed it, commentators debated it, and hashtags filled timelines demanding justice. The store faced backlash from the community, boycotts from customers, and an investigation that led straight to the manager's dismissal. For once, the cameras didn't lie. They told the story of a young black man who refused to bow to prejudice. But even with his name cleared, Booker couldn't forget how it felt. The weight of those eyes, the certainty in their judgment, the way one man's suspicion turned kindness into cruelty. The apology he received from corporate felt hollow compared to the damage done. Yet, amid the noise, something else emerged. Support. Strangers sent letters, teachers shared his story, and young kids from across the country wrote that they saw themselves in him. Booker didn't want revenge. He wanted change, real, lasting change that couldn't be deleted when the headlines moved on. The cameras that once condemned him had become his shield, his witness, his voice. Because this wasn't just about a pair of shoes. It was about a system that still assumes guilt before truth. A world that still watches black skin with suspicion before compassion. Booker's story is proof of one thing. The truth always finds its way out. But the question is, how many more lives must break before people stop looking at color and start seeing humanity? Don't miss more powerful real-life stories. Hit subscribe now.